Right now it's $79,684. It has broken out of a descending wedge. Never before, up until this point, has a descending wedge breakout ever then failed and made a lower low. That's including this move over here and into the global lockdowns, the COVID lows. And you can see that even then, you did not see Bitcoin take out the low. That does not mean that Bitcoin right now, because it's broken out of this falling wedge, could not take out the low. So you have to be very careful. Yes, I do believe that we broke out into a bull market. Yes, on August 13th, while we were at the low 63,000 of this wedge, I brought to your attention that the breakout was coming. Then as we moved up before breaking outside for the confirmation, I said, watch out. This is starting to move. Here we are right now. A lot of people are still obviously in disbelief. We're going to go ahead and we are going to talk about in this video today 3 ways that I am trading this bull market so that I walk away from this bull market. I was going to say with more Bitcoin, with more fiat, whichever way you're approaching it, than leaving with it out. Don't forget, bull markets, usually people realize it's a bull market late. They have a lot of FOMO. It causes them to make very poor decisions. By the time the bull market is in full force, what you really see is a lot of people enter mentally the everyone's an expert phase. This causes mistakes. This causes massive hubris. This causes people to lose money ultimately from the bear market. That's what we're going to talk about today so that does not happen to each and every one of you. And remember, sage advice, in a Bitcoin bull market, 20 to 30% pullbacks are just the norm. All right, just the norm. Now, this one over here, by the way, this could even be faded. You can't ever for a second get comfortable. We're going to talk about it all and put it all together in this video. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Make sure you hit the like button, support the channel, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and let's get into it today. Obviously, the talk of today is Treasury Secretary Bessent is now anteing it up. This is the second time it's happened. First, he said that he's going to increase buybacks. He's going to double buybacks and focus on long duration. Bitcoin and gold immediately made the move off of this news. I told you that it was a sign that the market is being front run, that the market understands that's not going to be enough, and they're going to come out and they're going to go ahead and they're going to continue to provide liquidity. Soon after, Bessent went on TV and he said, you know what? We're not stopping there. If we need to do more, we will. Now there's talk that Treasury Secretary Bessent is talking about tapping into the Treasury general account, currently around $1 trillion, and will use those funds, if necessary, to go ahead and increase buybacks, and not just on a quarterly basis. We are seeing what is more and more resembling a form of QE, QE light. The thing is that this is all just getting started. All right, let's start over here on this chart of Bitcoin breaking out from the descending wedge. A lot of people at this particular moment obviously were not expecting this because they were expecting 4-year cycle low into the fall. That's okay if you were one of them. And it is true and it is possible that that could still occur. And even if that were to occur, there's no certainty that that would indeed also be the low. It really depends on what's going on with the macro. The macro obviously is an ever-changing picture. One thing that I want to bring up as we get started today, and this is a little concerning, you could see over here that the U.S. Strategic Reserve currently has at a 40 to 50 year low of roughly 41 days of crude oil inventory left. That to me signals that we are potentially getting towards a crisis situation where we could see the price of crude begin moving up in 5-10% bursts. A lot of people are obviously watching the price of diesel, currently trading about $108 a barrel, and continues to escalate as Russian refineries have been taken out by the Ukrainians. It seems like a perfect storm could indeed be developing We want to make sure that we're aware of it. We have obviously on Friday, Fed Chairman Wash coming to speak at Jackson Hole. As we move forward in the week, we'll get into that and talk about it. But I do want to bring up earnings this week. On Wednesday, we have NVIDIA, we have CRWD, Salesforce, Iron, and Marvel. It is a huge week for the AI build out, something to keep a watch on. I wonder here, was the semiconductors flirting with a breakdown outside of this euphoric move up? You're all familiar with it. It's what happened on Bitcoin. The Wall Street cheat sheet moved down, bear flag, into that support of the bear flag. It's fragile right here. And then I also wonder with you if it deserves a better look like this. I'm going to go ahead and just draw in another parallel channel like that. So this is, if this were to close below here, I would say that's all hands on deck. Dr. Michael Burry might be having a good night's sleep, but I watch out for a confirmation of break below there. I'm just ahead of time setting expectations for what we'll be watching. Again, if we were to see at any point in time, memory, the Mag 7, and the semiconductors all moving up in unison, much like we saw off of the move of the April low. That's something that would get me very bullish on the markets, regardless of the seasonality window that we're currently into. Let's get into Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin trading just below $80,000. We are incredibly close to what I call the next confirmation. Obviously, wedge resistance was the first. Don't forget, we had a failed breakout over here. This was right over here, a breakout, and then that failed. And then this is the second attempt out of the wedge after it went on for roughly 8-9 more months further. And then the second breakout over here is currently underway. Yes, we're into heavy resistance in this whole area above 83,000. That right there is the confirmation of the breakout. A lot of people might be saying, well, we've come pretty far pretty quick. Jump down and take a look at the RSI. It's above 80. It's definitely significantly high. First of all, just drop over to the weekly time frame, and you can see that, yeah, often when you see on the weekly, the RSI trade above 70 and then get towards 80, as it comes back down under, that's usually when you're in one of those bull market 30% pullbacks, and or it's beginning to roll over into something further like over here, over here. Now, on the daily time frame, we've seen often, and I just want to hold on one second and highlight one area over here. You could see that on this breakout, we had a week. This, by the way, this last week that we just put in, 24% gain. 20% gains are uncommon. Usually they lead to further upside on Bitcoin. The last one that we put in was the beginning of the bull market, January 2023. You can see we put in that 23% up move. And then following it right after, you saw also another 30% up move, roughly 30% up move in the weeks ahead. So Bitcoin was already becoming overbought and it pushed further. I'm reminded of this one over here, though. In 2019, Bitcoin put in this mega breakout over here, almost 30% in a week outside of that steep descending wedge. And then, of course, it went on for a mega rally. It traded up to $14,000. This 6 months over here was epic. Bitcoin trading from 4,000 to 14,000 and then entering into what ultimately led to the global lockdowns and the major liquidation. And you could say, well, you know, Bitcoin put in that great candle and then wound up coming in and taking out that low. Here's where the candle started and took out that low. Yes, it did, sure, and that could happen again easily. But Bitcoin also was up over 200% prior to the major meltdown. That's a long time to be offsides, and I'm not calling for any type of upside like that whatsoever. I don't know what happens next. I'm going to continue to stay in front of it. A lot of people like to go ahead and trade a bull market discretionary. And that's good too. You could do that. You have the skills. You've been honing on your skills for a long time. Again, the one major concern is that the further the bull market goes on, bull markets could be very forgiving. It's like if you're swimming in the ocean and you're swimming with the current. You might think that, man, I'm I'm an Iron Man. I'm a hero. But that current starts going against you, and all of a sudden it becomes very difficult. And bull markets, they do lead to this overconfidence of people. People wind up at the wrong time making mistakes that set them back. What we're trying to do is make sure that doesn't happen to you, that you stay in control. That's the whole point of this. There are a few different ways that I'm going about trading this bull market, and I want to share all of them with you. Now, in the past, early on, 2020, late 2019, when we all started this together, I did this largely discretionary. And it takes a lot of work. You have to constantly be in front of the charts. You have to constantly be performing at a high level. Yeah, the payoff can be enormous, but it's very difficult for a lot of people to stay in that type of mind frame, to stay in that type of flow, to stay in that type of zone without making mistakes, as well as maintaining the quality of life they have. It really could have detrimental effects in people's lives. I would say it's likely not the way that most people want to go. We have a few different ways, the approaches that I'm trading this current bull market. I do believe it's a bull market. That doesn't mean that the macro could not change. I pointed out to you probably the biggest qualifier that could very quickly take out this bull market. One of them was we were talking about long-term duration, long-term yield. And it seems that with an aggressive approach, the Treasury is trying to do everything they can to stay in front of that. The other one that they have no control over is obviously the price of crude oil. And circumstances seem to be getting close to a breaking point. That's something that could derail things very quickly. How Bitcoin reacts in that situation, I'm not so sure, but this is a crisis over here. And in a crisis, correlation moves down to 1, right? Bitcoin, gold probably get very hurt in a situation, a similar situation, before ultimately they have no choice but to come in and to take extreme measures. And then, yes, Bitcoin, like a beach ball held underwater, probably shoots the moon. However, most people, most of you, likely will be in a worse situation and not there to go ahead and benefit from that. I'm going to make sure we do everything in our power to make sure that you are able to stay in front of it and stay in a position of power. As we get into this right now, I want to get into this. I have to step back for a second. We have to look at gold. Gold also breaking out over here. We had the first breakout that we spoke about. We brought everyone's attention to with a take profit into the trend line, $4,400. We said that if it broke out again, it's the time to re-engage the position. That broke out, has taken hold. And then, by the way, you could see over here, this is not a strategy. This is just Bitcoin bull runs overlaid on gold. Last time gold entered that major super cycle breakout, took a tremendous monster trade, a couple of in and outs. It's now back in. That's a good sign. I want to bring your attention here to this, which is the gold miners over gold. And you could see that they're coming into this area of resistance. Could this be a time for gold miners to be running? If you remember, when I took our gold miners GDX template and I put it over what is a silver mining company, you saw a lot of the silver experts at this particular moment telling you to buy silver miners. We said, wait a second, whoa, there's no way. They're probably looking for exit liquidity. You all remember, I remember that session very clearly. For a whole week we spoke about it. Look at the protection this provided. In and out, a couple of in and outs. Back long again over here. This is something right now, as we're seeing potentially here, what could be a major move coming in hard assets. Not just Bitcoin, gold as well, silver as well, all commodities. this is a good time for me to make sure that I get out to us. This is coming back from 2022. Still works, but I want to make sure that we have refined templates here for those that are interested. I think it's a time to be looking at the miners. Don't forget, that's coming over someone who is warning you when the experts were telling you that you should be involved in the silver miners. China seems to be acquiring a massive amount of gold. They continue to push towards the system of the future that they would like to do. A lot of the stars are aligning, and it seems to me that this is a time just to make sure that everyone understands what's taking place and then giving us the tools, aside from the discretionary view that we did right over here, which CTM 1.0, getting people at the right time in the right place. We also want to go ahead and add to that. Backdropping over to Bitcoin and where we are right now, which is into a place of resistance, right? You saw, and there's a lot of potential warnings about Wintermute out there flooding the market with short positions. And listen, yeah, something to be concerned about. But at the same time, you all are familiar with the great bear walls that have been taken out in the past on Bitcoin. Right now, we're seeing what is a macro shift. We are seeing the beginning of QE light. More importantly, what we're seeing here is a signal to the market that the Treasury is going to do whatever it takes. And to stop this $1 trillion bond market, it's going to take a massive amount of intervention. Ultimately, that's what we're watching. Does not mean that we can't be rejected up here. It does not mean that just because we are seeing an overbought RSI, and usually overbought RSIs, I didn't get really a chance to show that to you, but let's just step back a second. Here's where the bull market broke out in 2023, and you could see the extension afterwards. RSI was significantly overbought over here, and before peaking out, up another 18% over the next week. Again, you could see other points where the RSI becomes very overbought. You could start over here. Yeah, that caused a pullback. Be aware of those 20%, 30% pullbacks at all times. Major overbought condition back towards and above the 80 level over here, and a massive extension, another 40%. Again, over here, barely an extension. It led to the major consolidation area ahead of the election. This was up after a massive move after the spot ETFs. And then the breakout over there, RSI becomes very oversold. And it's not something you want to be shorting into, in my belief. It's not something at all that you want to be shorting into. And if we break above the 83, there could be further extension. Again, with the current macro shift that we're seeing, I would be, well, I think it's a bull market, and I'm going to treat it as such. Moving over, coming back over here and looking at Bitcoin from the lens of three ways that I'm going to be trading it. The first one, by the way, is going to be trading through IBIT. This says GBTC. This is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust that won the court case, allowing the launch of the Bitcoin spot TFs. And I trade IBIT. IBIT has the most liquidity. You could trade it on any Bitcoin spot ETF. You could see that catching the breakout over here, currently long, finally hitting a nice 10%. It trades similar to Bitcoin bull runs, is that largely for the bear market, you're safe and protected. I trade this because it allows me to trade it in a brokerage account. And I think that it is a great and easy way with a potential entry and or exit only occurring once a day for many people to be able to utilize trading a Bitcoin proxy, the Bitcoin spot ETF, and doing it in a traditional brokerage account. Number two, I'm trading this, and this is a bit different. This is a hybrid approach. I think that's one that's pretty easy to do. A little different than the daily time frame because it's occurring on the 8-hour time frame. I am trading a combination of Bitcoin bull runs. Now, Bitcoin bull runs over here, that's the weekly. I got to drop down to the 8-hour to show you the correct performance. It's going to go ahead and show you that from a starting date of, let's see where we got it out. 2021, this is picking the top of the last bull market. You could see buy and hold since the last bull market, 166%. Now, granted, we are seeing right now Bitcoin trading at around $80,000, $79,000. A lot different than it was when Bitcoin was just trading at 60,000, and would have been a lot different if Bitcoin would have traded down towards that $30,000 to $40,000 target. A lot of 4-year cycle believers believe that we were headed. Nevertheless, come back and drop to the top of the last bull market before that, right? And you could see an incredible, massive outperformance. And again, you could outperform buy and hold. You could do it with a simple strategy. However, there's a massive edge in here that I want to bring to you. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that right now. This is comparing since the bull market breakout of 2023. And you could see neck and neck with buy and hold. Here's why I like it. It's very easy to trade. More importantly, again, one of the concerns that I was giving to you is during a bull market, when everyone gets very comfortable, when I say that we've entered the everyone's an expert phase, the problem is that people think that why not just buy and hold? And I'm going to answer that with my third strategy as well as with this one. But the reason is you never know what could happen in the future. And I hope the wake-up call of this current bear market is enough to etch in within you the reality that even though you could be incredibly bullish on Bitcoin, you could understand the bullish case for Bitcoin, you could be a maxi who goes ahead and used air gap hardware cold card wallet thinking that you know better than everyone, and there's still risk. What we do is take a data-driven approach to maximize reducing risk. It can't be fully reduced. It's the markets. It's the reality. But we could minimize the risk as much as possible and try to maximize the returns and probability of us being there to move forward and being able to profit. Now, Bitcoin bull runs, number one, but combined. Bitcoin bull runs combined with the sell side of our V5 template over here. So this is showing over here. Let me show you a couple different data points. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of Bitcoin bull. I'll keep Bitcoin bull runs on. Not take it off, make it easier. You can see that we were looking from 2023, right? And from 2023 is a bull market, bear market at the end. You could see that this is able to, trading the short side, add some alpha to that. So now instead of having a 350% return since 2023, you could compound that with 50%. Major difference, but more importantly, just giving me that downside protection. And also, by the way, taking those profits at a regular interval and then continuing to increase my Bitcoin position. Now, if you go ahead and you look at this from a different perspective, right, from 2021, right, and then you can go ahead and see that's a major difference. 323, compounding, then move to 2021. Time is something you cannot replace. So now instead of a 276% return, yes, that's outperforming buy and hold since the top of the last bull market in 2021. But imagine 276 compounded with the 333. Now you see why I'm taking what is an easy strategy, combining them. And then the third way that I think that I'm gonna go ahead and attack this market, this bull market, because it is absolutely attacking it. It's taking something people like buy and hold. Well, that's a great strategy when the chart is ultimately up and to the right, and it's really bad when price pulls back 50%. And if it pulled back 85% and or more, it's a nightmare. That's not a strategy. That's hoping, right? Now, Bitcoin, buy and sell side, it does outperform everything. It takes a lot of effort if it's not automated, a lot of trades. I do believe that we are in a bull market. I have my hedging of sorts with the Bitcoin bull runs on this, with the sell side included. On the IBIT, on the spot ETFs inside a traditional brokerage account, that's buy side only. Could someone take the sell side over here of V5 and use that in the same way I'm using it with Bitcoin bull runs against an IBIT account in the options market? Yeah, someone that's proficient with understanding the options markets could use that as a signal to go ahead, probably focusing on strikes about 3 weeks out. But I'm not doing that. I'm just trading the buy side only. Same thing here on V5. I am just focusing on something that has outperformed buy and hold. But more importantly, if Bitcoin does not continue to go up and to the right, also will outperform buy and hold by a tremendous margin. Here you can see the bull market beginning in 2023. And in the green is the buy side only of V5. And you could see that it continued to even outperform when Bitcoin peaked over here in October of 2025. As it's peaking, again, everyone's like, why not just buy and hold? Well, this is outperforming buy and hold. But everyone should now realize, well, Bitcoin came off 55%. How did you know not to hold anymore? And then you could see the massive outperformance as buy and hold pull back. This is why this is the third strategy, the way that I'm going about trading the bull market, that is just on the buy side of Bitcoin V5. It is trading IBIT through the Bitcoin spot ETFs template. This is the daily time frame, once a day, and it is a combination of trading Bitcoin bull runs as well as trading a sell side hedge to go ahead and make sure that even during, it's nice to be, look at this. This was tweeted over here, the first exit at 119, back in exiting at 114,000. Look at this. From October all the way to February, out of the market. Out of the market. That's a major, major, major advantage. But going ahead and adding the sell side to that, that's where I want to be. This is my plan for, this was a major consideration. This was a major consideration for mine. And it's going to jump over here and jump over to right here. You have Don's buy side boost once a day. We have the buy side boost, by the way, Phoenix Fire, who's the architect of the buy side boost. This is with 3 signal periods a day. This is once a day. He does not, when he gets a Solana signal first, he does not trade the whole account. He only trades the third. All right. He does not. I just want everyone to understand that on the Discord channel, you have the full steps that are taken the way to stay. Now, if Bitcoin or Ethereum enter first, the full account is taken. One difference, buy side boost, the way that Don has been able to architect it, has proven one thing. Let me go ahead and jump over to it. That during the bear market, this past 6 months, Bitcoin has seen some price action that it has never seen before. You could go to the low volatility of 2018 where Bitcoin basically even just flatlined for, let's call it 3 to 6 months, as it was in that descending triangle, ultimately breaking down and capitulating. And that was the most similar period that we just went through. But this was a very, very difficult period to trade through, at least through our momentum mechanical systems. Just waking up right now, the 6 hour once a day during that whole period, it did provide to be, and here's the top of the bull market, a couple of in and outs. It did fantastic in providing a filter against the downside and the whipsaw. Look at this tight range. Again, tight range, very difficult to trade. And on the upside here, it's been able to get some really good entries. it is I tried this morning. It's a priority of mine to figure out with the V5 on the buy side, whether or not using a filter like Bitcoin bull runs, we could take off ST2 or not. I haven't been able to confirm that. Again, we're data driven. I think this is a fantastic approach. What's great about this approach also, Don's, if I was trading Don's buy side boost 6 hour once a day, I would be trading it personally with all three, because now you have altcoin exposure, and probably two altcoins that, especially if the Clarity Act was passed, have a significant chance of outperforming Bitcoin, both of them. And I think that I would really like, if I was trading, if I wanted to trade Don's once a day signal on the 6 hour time frame, this is how I would do it. I would do it with both Ethereum and Solana. I'm going with just the regular V5 Bitcoin 8 hour time frame, just the buy side only. And that's the thing though. There are many options for what you believe fits your personality, for what you believe fits your lifestyle. And that's a very important piece when you're discerning how you want to go ahead and attack the market. So I'm going to keep this session today focused on the three ways that I'm trading this Bitcoin bull market. Tomorrow we'll have a much bigger, deeper dive ahead of the earnings on Wednesday of what's going on in traditional finance. And we'll make sure that we do our best to go ahead, put the work in together, and make sure that we stay on the right side across markets. As you leave in here today, go ahead, do give the video a thumbs up, share it with a friend. Lots of love to you all, everyone. Have a beautiful day, and God bless you.